police agency will be added this week.
I've heard a lot of positive comments. Took away the runway lights.
They're not wired in no more.
Great, good job. Old business, CNA to approve meeting minutes for the regular meeting held on November the 18th. It's under tab 1 in your binder. If there are no edits or corrections, then we have a motion to approve as presented.
Yes, I move that we approve the meeting minutes for the regular meeting held on November the 18th, 2019, as presented.
Motion by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Lambert. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved, motion carries. 7-0?
Yep.
CNA to approve a facade signage grant for Glamour and Gifts Boutique presented on November 18th.
So this is one that we already, they'd come in last month and we just had technical difficulty with the wording. So they came in and we approved the H&H pond as far as with their facade grant. We got that one approved for $7,500. So as you know, on the other half, they've already started putting some of the signage up. It will no longer be Trendy Treasures. They've come to change that name to Glamour and Gifts Boutique. Yeah. So
what is it we're approving?
So we're approving them to do the facade on the outside.
Amount-wise.
On what?
Amount.
Oh, amount-wise, their bid came at $15,700 to approve for $7,500. So they're gonna redo that half of that building to get it done as far as with the facade and the overhang and all the signage and everything.
This is the second item that we're approving for them, right?
No, the other one was for the owner of the building. It's two owners. So the owner of the building owns
It's a
H&H.
separate one?
Yeah, it's two separate companies, two separate business owners. So.
The other part was a pawn shop.
Yeah, H&H Pond. And as you know, it didn't have the pictures and everything. They had the big old sign. I think it's about 40 feet in the air. So they're going to redo that. It hadn't been done. It's the old rustic green sign that they had. They're going to change the new colors of it and have that done. And then come in and do this side of it. The building will be for the Guns and Glamour. The signage in the front. So they're going to remove the surface layer, the exterior paint on their half, and then brick surface repair, and then paint the tan and the offset trim on the front. So make a motion, if we get a motion to approve them for their $7,500. That's my recommendation. Any other questions?
Is there any discussion on the signage for Glamour and Gifts Boutique?
It's called Guns and Glamour Boutique, right?
Yes. No, this one is going to be called,
This is what the paper says,
yes.
right?
It's in the DBA. Yeah, Guns and Glamour Boutique and Gifts. Like I said, they already have a store down in Alice, put it in the Corpus, and then they'll be here in Floresville as well. It's really unique with what they're doing, the spin on it they have, so it's more like fishing and camo gear for women, not just men. So.
She used to have part of her old shop had pawn product. I mean, they had a pawn service.
Yeah,
right?
so they don't.
So-
That was for the gentleman that owns that. She
Okay.
runs it for him, and this
Oh,
side
you
is.
ran it for him.
Yeah,
Okay.
she was the manager. She runs it for him.
Is she still running that?
I believe so. So he came in and we approved to do his side, and this is for her side as far as what she's renting on the Guns and Glamour.
motion?
I move to approve it, 75 minutes.
Motion by Castillo, second by Mr. Edrock. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Henrietta isn't here for the next one, President, but she had said that that's same status as before.
Since we're on the facades, can we skip over item Mr. Edrock 2B? Can we skip over that for a second?
Yes.
Okay, let's go over to 3A. CNA to approve facade signage grant for the boot and sandwich repair shop, owned by Mr. Carlos Trujillo.
I'll pull the chair, Paul, you can sit next to me real quick. I told him not to talk for him, I said, it was Minnesota.
No, I'm new at this.
Yeah, Carlos is new at it. So, this is a little different. One thing that, when y'all asked me to take over this position, was to look out for the little guys and the small business owners. So as we were going into this and meeting some of the things they had done in the past, I would like for y'all to look over, we're working on getting all the paperwork for the signage. Carl's been really well helping me out. So if you look on page 4, you'll see a picture of the sign that Carlos has already purchased. And so it's been sitting in the corner of his shop. You can see along the back wall on the
What
left.
item is that again?
About 4 pages over from 3B. Yeah, 3B, right from 3B. So, the boot saddle shop, I think you said you bought it, what, it was 2-3 years ago? About 3 years ago, and it's a brand new sign to be lit up on both sides. He said, had a gentleman run into the front of the shop.
They knocked the pole down.
Knocked the pole down and the sign said he had ordered it. So, we're working on getting all what he's already put into that. And this is the building that he has, the next one. So he's already put in some facade stuff already. So he's already redone the roof, which doesn't count, but some of the overhang and all the fascia and some of the painting as far as, with the door and everything. So what I'm asking the board to do is, it's a little bit of a variance on this, I guess, what would be the wording for that? A variance? Not a variance, it would be what would be the wording for this? Yeah, extension will we already have in place. So, yeah, so what we're gonna do is, instead of normally what we've done in the past is we'd pay, Mr. Triller would go out and he'd pay $8,000 and we'd cut him a check after he did all the work, right? So he has half of the stuff done already. So instead of him going out and having to put the other half, I would just like to ask the board to approve this one for the matching of the $8,000. To approve $4,000, we would help and pay the contractors versus him going and paying the contractors and turn around and having to pay us right back. We'd have us having to cut a check. So instead of having to go and spend $4,000 to do the other half, that we just approved the facade grant for $4,000, but the only variance would be, not variance, that's the property. The only difference is we would pay the contractors directly instead of having him pay and then get the work done and him come back and have to get a refund. So he won't be getting any money from it. We're just gonna work on that part on making sure that contractors get the poles put up and on the front as well as that, from the people that run into the front of a shop, we'll have like a fence so they won't run into the front of the building anymore. And then we'll have a display window with the facade part of it. So this window no longer opens, it has some leakage problems. So we'll fix that front display window for his booths. And I think the coolest thing about getting this up there is it's gonna light up that area that hadn't had a neon light. And, I think when this sign goes up, it's gonna set the standard for what we want businesses to have. Because this double-sided lit sign is gonna look really cool downtown. And not only that, but I'm really excited that he'd have that storefront back. Because there's about 20 feet to the left when you go in there, that he has a board where he can hang belts and boots and things like that. It's just not utilized, so it's not beneficial to him in his store when you go in there, whereas he can put more product out front and increase his revenue as well. So I think that would be a good partnership for us to go into. And it's no different than we've done in the past. We're just, instead of giving him a refund, we're just gonna work from that side of the grant to get the deviation from it.
It's good.
So what is the amount that?
It approved the 4,000, the matching fund.
What's the cost gonna be that we're having?
8,000.
How come the application doesn't have anything?
Because Mr. Trill, like I said, he got the paperwork almost 3 years ago. So we're getting close, and he is not gonna give up. I'm working with this contractor that's already done work to send those invoices in. And then once he finds the paperwork on the signage, if not, we have the company where he bought it from and reached out to them already to give us a receipt, because it's about a $3,000 sign with shipping and stuff that he put into it. So we want to have that documentation so we are on our side doing the appropriate thing for this facade grant.
So Ben, we're going beyond the 7,500?
No, just 4,000. So normally what you do is you spend 15.
Our part's 4.
You spend 15 and you get reimbursed 7,500. What he was spending was 8,000 his project. We were just asking to fund the $4,000.
So just wanting us to pay direct to the contractor the 4,000
versus him going and paying the contractor, and then him come next week when we get the fence and the pole up and the other stuff done, and we just cut him a check.
And it's the same contractor that he's used before, or you have another contractor?
We have another contractor we're going out to get good.
Okay.
But at some point in time, you're gonna have all the documentation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll have it, just like the thing says, we have, the documentation appropriate on file with receipts, because I'll have receipts from the new contractor, I'll have receipts from the facade work that's already done, and we'll get a receipt from the sign, from the company, once they get that to us, and then we'll have our receipts from the work that's being done as well.
If he bought it 3 years ago, it's worth more money today than it cost him anyway. I mean,
That's the reality of it. You're correct on that, Ray. If you're gonna go by that same sign, I think you're probably spend about $5,000 for that same sign. I mean, if I was gonna put an estimation on it, so.
It's a great sign, I like it.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool. And he already has a wire in there, so we're not having to pay to rewire anything. And I think we're just gonna put on a switch when he leaves every day. We're gonna put on a switch. When he comes in, he turns it off.
I suggest an automatic on-off. Same time.
Yeah, so.
Jacob has a question like that.
No, I was gonna say that I would go ahead with
Okay, make.
the hotel.
Motion by Mr. Galvin, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Lambert, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Rio, how long,
Motion carries seven.
how long have you all been in business? I know that it's been many years, right?
1962.
Oh, 1962.
Yeah,
and then I think you took it over, we were talking about you in 2000.
That's in his notes, years in business in Floresville, 1962.
Your dad made my first pair of handmade boots.
You still have them?
Maybe.
Really?
They don't fit anymore.
I would tell you that, we went outside the box with going in with the scavenger hunt and the different people that went in the store to get the stamp and everything. And a lot of people were really impressed at the different things that they had, like they didn't know he made the handmade belts, the leather belts for that. So I got some good feedback for what he had, and that's what I'm most excited about. Not so much of putting up the sign and setting the precedence of what we want moving forward, but just able to, when you go in there, and as we work together to help reestablish what the inside of the store can look like, where we can open that area where right now it's just it's in a cardboard box. It's huge. It takes up like the whole wall. So like we can move that out, put his saddles on the wall, and hang other things. It's going to really help his business and stuff.
I'm getting a lot of customers with Jordantown, Pleasanton, OT, and Seguin, so.
We're fortunate to have something like that here, because when they go out of the towns, if you have a shoes fix or whatever you get.
You had some made several years ago, right?
I had 2 pairs made by Mr. Trujillo.
Put back my cousin.
Yeah. One of them I wore to the presidential inauguration.
Yes.
Then you gotta take those up with them in the store.
Right. What do you say, Jay?
No, I was gonna say that Mr. Trujillo's known all over the state, and even not out of state, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, sure.
But, you know, they made me some boots. I was just showing Brother here, a pair of boots that I got from them, and, good quality.
Good quality.
Good quality.
So like I said, I'm really excited. I didn't know, you go in there and you get to meet all the businesses downtown, and we kind of had talked about it. Went in there and it's like, I already have the sign. So at first I kind of was like, oh, he has a sign, but then I go and look at it, man, we're pulling it out and stumbling over stuff. I was like, this is a nice sign, pull that out. So I wanted y'all to have a picture of it and see that.
So luckily, knock down the pole before I put it up. So.
You know, I like it out there, I really do.
Hey, that's a
Yeah.
That's a good.
We're talking about need to paint that door purple and match the sign. Look at that sign. That looked really cool, so.
I was just thinking.
I appreciate that, board.
And I also have a door.
There you go.
I didn't mention that.
Yeah.
But thank you for.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay.
Merry Christmas.
If y'all don't mind leaving, I gotta go take care of my dog.
Not at all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, it was funny, just like that. So I have to go, I said, that's one of the presidents, man. If you're gonna work with us, you gotta come to the meeting.
He's real shy.
All right, let's go back to
Okay.
item 2B, financial overview of November
Yeah.
2018. 2019, I'm sorry.
Did I take it wrong? No. Hey, boy, go to 2018.
It changed itself all of a sudden.
Yeah, I think you're wanting to do the 2018-2019 close.
I think you, well, Danny, you had asked at our last meeting what
Yeah.
the
Oh,
final.
how did we compare it from last year?
This is inconclusive because they have not totally reconciled.
Okay.
They have not reconciled the bank account, but they will as of tomorrow.
Yes.
But that's how it ended.
So right now-
Fiscal year.
Oh,
So right now, Roy, if you don't mind, I'm gonna speak. You have a right 237.
This is strictly sales tax? the
This is
937?
sales tax, but what it is that's what the 24,000 from the land we sold by the VA, and there's only like one or two of the payments from Paloma Place. So as
So over 900.
it's gonna be over $1,050,000 when it's all said and done, give or take, because we still have to put the 99,000 from the property we sold with Dumar. It isn't in there because what happened, the previous director just went and deposited the money in the account and just kind of put it away in the file. So once we have that, reconciliation tomorrow, and then we had Charlotte's been great to work, and it's been good with the city as too. I want to, here I thank her to work well with them and Helen and going to find Paloma Place, all the payments that they've made. Who was around during that time when we did Paloma Place? So I need, Fred, you were around, we did Paloma Place when we built Paloma Place, correct?
Yes, I was.
So one thing I need to research, I need your help, Sylvia, is finding out, they had called about how much they still owe on it and things like that, so. But-
I think you were the mayor, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're working with them to move forward on that as well. And then getting all those, so it should be a little over, a revenue that we taken in last year is over like $1,050,000.
Just on the side note, they had always talked about expansion, but it's
Yeah,
on a different topic.
I met the lady the other day on the phone, really, really nice, one of the tax ladies.
But then, as far as sales tax,
So you look right here in the bottom left, I'll
Okay.
let Roy talk about that if you
Okay.
want. If you go back, page 2, we were at 74,000 in December, so I want you to see that jump. We jumped almost, highest of the year, almost 12%, and this is in September, to 92,000. And that's our highest we've ever taken in 1 month, 92,825. So as we were projecting, when we were doing our budget, remember Roy and all of us, we were predicting that last month we'd have about 75,000. So we were like, oh, we'll be at about 870 for the year. Well, it came in well over the last 2 months, came in well over. So we took in over 900,000 in sales tax last year.
and that's significant, because also keep in mind, the sales tax, there's 2 other entities. It's the 4A and the street maintenance tax also that collects that sales tax. So that's about $450,000 going to the 4A and about $450 going to the street maintenance tax.
And the city gets a penny, so it's
They
$1.5 million.
get half a penny and they get a quarter. of a
Yes,
penny.
sir. Yes, sir.
So I mean, you think of that, I think the event center budget was like at 385, and that's another $65,000 in their budget.
But
Or
that's
something.
not the total sales tax income for the city, is it? Those 4 items or 3 items?
No, there's another one, the city gets a penny, and then we get half a cent, and then the streets.
And the 4A.
And the 4A. So, and I don't see any, like I said, our projections of 5%, so we did our projections, so really Sal wants to think about that as you're over there on the break. We did it at 5% over 790, that's where we came to our budget of 835,000, so if we climb 5% over 900,000, you know, we're 1 or 2 companies away from breaking $1 million here pretty soon, over here.
Rainy day money.
With the addition of our, with the annexation businesses that,
Yep.
That should bust it over.
Mhm.
And you know, when I came in here in '09, it was 400,000.
got support,
That's more than double.
So, yeah, it doubled in 10 years.
very good.
Roy, anything else, Roy? I'm sorry, speak on anything else. Anything else you see, Roy?
I think got all the color you got.
What
there.
page?
Way over here, yeah.
Because
On a page.
last month.
What you have is
No.
for the November, the
Yeah.
Well, we're waiting.
77,000.
Danny and Ben, that increase there, can you nail down what specifically is happening? I mean, it isn't that we're just doing a better job per se. There's
Yeah.
something happening.
Charlotte's doing an outstanding job, right here.
Okay.
Killing, raise your hand, raise your hand. Yeah, fair.
No, but I mean, there has to be.
I'm
something.
joking.
Well, I mean, 92 versus whatever it
Yeah,
was.
so what I think you see there, I think you see a trend of, as we do more and more events like National Night Out, we have, I mean, you think about it, we did and I'll be in my report later on, we did the Christmas lighting. I mean, you're keeping those people downtown, so as we work with the 4A and we host more and more events.
And I realize that we're doing some things that are helping, but also the annexation
Yeah.
has helped a lot too. And that doesn't mean that we were not involved, you know, it's just simply that there were things happening aside from us just bringing people in.
So I'm gonna write that question down, and that's what I have with what we approved last month with Zach Tax. So now we can nail down why we had that increase, because we'll have that report we can go
Yeah, so we
into,
can
and we can see where's that money coming from, like this month, break it down, and say, oh,
Yeah.
this came in from X, Y, and Z, our retail shot up, or our food shot up, so we know moving forward how we're gonna brand ourselves, how we're gonna market ourselves.
And give us credit, you know, where we do credit.
With this more into it now, because now with the new tax law, that the state, any internet purchase, they have to collect the tax. So now there's other revenue increase, that purchases that have been done in town before through the internet, and no tax was collected.
Yeah, so this,
So
that
now
Zach
it's
Tax will
like
do that, they'll go back and find all that
Be able
hidden.
to see all that stuff that comes through the internet also. There's some issues with the tax, but there's some home businesses that they're conducting business, but they're not reporting the tax. But, you know, that, it goes on, and it's difficult to track and so on. Eventually, we may be able to catch some of that also.
What's neat about it is that you'll see how they're tracking it through Yelp and Google Business and through Facebook. They go in these places and they see how they're advertising it. But once they see the advertising, they shoot that over to the comptroller's office, and then they have a whole division. That's all they do is, because the state wants their 6.25%, right? So they go in and start saying, oh, well, we see that you've been advertising, and we see that you haven't been paying, and so.
So we may be
And
able
you
to
sold a
report
lot
that
of
money
tamales
too.
during the holidays.
So,
Thank you.
There's no further discussion, let's go on to item 3B. CNA to review our contract with Retail Coach. Ben?
Kyle, you want to come up and sit next to me over here? Stand where you need to be.
Scoot in here, if y'all
We-
don't mind.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Welcome back. We talked about maybe doing a PowerPoint, but Charlotte was great, and she printed it
Things out.
kind of more informative this go around. So if you have in 3B, you can pull out your PowerPoint presentation, kind of just talk about it.
Well, yeah, thank y'all for having me back. You know, kind of going into this year 3, we've kind of been working with Ben real closely. Aaron is kind of the project lead on this. He couldn't come tonight, but kind of been working with Ben to kind of pick up some of the slack where things were kind of left off with the overturn and those type things, and you know, really kind of feel like we've got everybody on the same page and kind of moving things forward. And you know, I put together a few slides of kind of you know, what this year 3 will look like. And you know, one thing is the 2020 data is out, and with retailers, restaurants, when they make a decision, it's 100% data driven. So updating all of those reports that we currently have. And you know, one thing I wanted to kind of hit on is that cell phone analysis. And Ben, I think we've shown you exactly kind of how that thing works. And y'all mentioned the lighting ceremony, I think it was downtown, and how much of a success it was. And so we have the capability to run that on downtown for that specific night. So we can say, okay, this is exactly how many people were here, and also basically how far they were coming from, with a heat map and so forth. So that cell phone analysis can kind of be used for multiple of different uses. And you know, I included some information of what that cell phone analysis looks like for HEB over 12 months. 139,000 customers making 1.3 million visits. So you're talking about sales tax and those types of things. HEB is doing very well compared to other HEBs that we've run this report on. So you know, kind of updating the data and moving forward, updating site profiles is, you know, one thing that we discussed, you know, Aaron and I before this is we want to have every single available site that's in Floresville in our hands. And you know, we'll be working with Ben to really figure out what exactly those sites are. Are they retail? Are they industrial? Especially focus on the retail for our end. And then
and I think that's very important, because one thing when me and Charlotte and Ingrid went over to Retail Live up in Austin, one thing I think we were lacking that we've talked about moving forward is giving that ready-made packet. You know, going to people like Doug Shoemaker, who has that building that's already ready to go, and saying, here's our space we have, here's what we have. Because on those sites, you don't just have the company, but you have the developer there as well. So when you're there, you're in front of the room with the franchise, you're there with the developer, and you're there with the site already. And that's what makes the big difference and puts you months ahead with them, showing how prepared you are. So those are some of the things that we've talked about, picking up the slack and having these ready-made packets, not only when we send them out to our companies that we've narrowed it down to, but also when we're going to these events, and we can get those one-on-one time, because you got about 5-10 minutes to get in that loop, and then when you're there, you know, you can stick around a little bit longer. So having
yeah, and kind of to build off that, we call at these trade shows like Retail Live and ICSC that's coming up in Fort Worth in January, we kind of call it speed dating. And you know, you might get 5 minutes with somebody. It's usually 2 to 3. So kind of having those site profiles printed out, having the trade area numbers, the community population numbers, everything right there where they can view it, they can have that handout, and then being able to follow up with them right after that show to have it in their hands, to where there's no overlap in time, and really being able to stay in front of them really boost your time period. Because economic development and landing a retail or restaurant it takes some time. It's not overnight. So like Ben said, really jumping on them at these trade shows is kind of something that we've wanted to put up.
And taking a different approach than we had in the past. So one thing that we saw is, you know, this is almost year 4, right? We did it 1 year before, but we didn't get into the thing where we just doing a license plate. But this time I think we're going to be really productive, because we have that updated data that we need, but taking a different approach on not just the trade area, but on the data we have with Zap Tax, we can bring in what a company is selling per month, right? So one thing I really did learn at the last one, kind of talked to this blue in the face, is that when you look at the companies that are bringing in, we have a company here in town that's bringing about a little over $4 million, $4.5 million a year in revenue. So you put that in front of a company, say Arby's, for example, right? We talk to them. What do you need to make your company be successful? We need about $1.8 million. Well, we have a company right here that's making $4.4 million, and you only got to make 50%, knowing that you're going to take a percent from everyone else, Taco Bell's and the JC Super Burgers and things like that. But there's enough money to go around in our area, and we show that with that footprint that we have, like at HEB. So we can put that the numbers in front of them, not the people, but the numbers, because numbers seem to catch their attention a little more. So we've changed our way that we're approaching them as well.
Yeah, and kind of to build on Zach taxes, that's kind of just another marketing tool. You know, you can use it in-house, but you can also use it as a marketing tool. And we've worked in a number of communities in the past that have partnerships with Zach Tax, and, you know, it does nothing but for us to be able to help them say, hey, this is what your competitor's doing. This is kind of like an Arby's. This is what Arby's is doing versus Taco Bell, and being able to say, hey, you know, they know exactly what it takes to work and what works for them, and being able to put more reasons in front of them is key. So, you know, we're excited about the Zach Tax as well.
What are the areas that we see that people are leaving, spending their dollars elsewhere?
Sporting goods is one that's gonna be, you know, a very high leakage. More casual sit-down restaurants is where people are leaving. That's another high leakage. You know, I didn't really include that in this presentation with the highest sectors, but you know, you've got your grocery covered here. Walmart, HEB are both doing very well from that analysis we've run, but we see that, you know, the sporting goods and the casual sit-down restaurants are ones that are lacking right now.
So do we have any focus on those particular areas?
Yeah, so with this next year, if we get the opportunity to work with y'all, there would be, you know, a full updated match list of new retailers and restaurants. They're always kind of changing their format of, you know, what they're looking for.
And keeping what we have. I think Roy and me had talked about this in the past. You know, we have Hibbets, and one of the things is, you know, is right now they're getting in the year 3 and year 5 of their leases, and now they want to up their leases. So we're looking at, you know, do we pay that lease or do we leave? So making sure that we have the numbers to support why you should stay, and helping them renegotiate their leases where it works for everyone. And if not, find them another place in town they can move to as well. And they have the contacts with them, and I think retail, they have, if you've seen like Hibbets, they've combined with like City Gear, so they're like doing a dual marketing strategy, so keeping them, and helping keep what we already have, so it doesn't happen like the next Caparelli's that comes in, right? So.
Yeah,
When was the last time, what day we went into Austin?
What was Austin's retail like? That was
I believe
September.
September 9th or 10th, I believe.
Right.
And that's every year in Austin, when that show is, and you know, we'll be at.
You see, previously, apparently, we had not participated on it, or not enough into it, and this time when we went over there, they noticed that we were the representative, we were the people making the decision, not that we sent somebody out there, and the diversity involved. And even today, 4 or 5 months later, there's stuff going on that is gonna generate more business for Floresville that is still in process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's still in process, so it's a very productive engagement to be in partnership with you all, because the productivity that we can get in, the new businesses that we can bring into the town.
And Roy was there. It's pretty neat when we go there. You know,
It's exciting.
It's
That
exciting.
they know Floresville.
Yeah, they know Floresville and all that, but they like the representation that retail coach, and this is something I've had to learn. I want to brag to the board, is they're at everything. They're at TML. They were at National League of Cities with their booths. They got a real broad representation. So that's one thing we talked about moving forward in this year 3 is we know that the contract ended in July. And so we haven't had anything on the books, but they've been helping us since I've been here the last 5 months, without a contract, just showing me the ropes, to get some of the site profiles all ready for when we do hit the ground running, if that's what the board sees fit. And then, but when you go there, like Roy was there, they're like, oh, that's who we deal with. Like, they knew the developer. I don't want to name the name out there, but the franchisee was there, the developer was there that builds the buildings for him, and he was like, oh, you've been approved since like 2 years ago, let's move. They had us on the books for 2021. Now they want to put it in 2020 and move it up a year, and time is money, right? So if we can get it here in 2020 versus 2021, would it be good? And then the developer's like, I've already got enough stores for them to build, but that's what they want. And they were so excited. And then I think from that show alone, we're still talking about 3 of them, but just want to really ramp it up and let them do the workforce that they know how to do, and then bring, like Roy said, us as representatives.
Yep.
Fred?
Yes. You've been here 4 years on this stint that you've started that long ago, but you've been here before too, for a longer period of time. Now, can you tell where we've had leakage significant, where we've made some impact on that during that period of time, and what cost?
You know, I would have to look back over the years of where that gap in leakage analysis from maybe 2016 to what it is now, and compare what sectors, because that gap in leakage analysis is broken down into over 60 sectors. And you know, I could do that for you is compare those and say, hey, this is what it looked like in X year versus 2020 when we run.
Yes, and what I'm getting at here is I'd like to see what it is that having you work for us has done in areas that needed something doing, and what did we do to get there?
Yep.
Because otherwise we just keep on going on and talking little platitudes over here, and excuse me for the word, but anyway, but I want to see some movement in the areas that needed movement, and then figure out what caused it, and can we do it again in other areas?
Yeah, I'm excited because, like, I didn't know, like, iBrands, right? You go in there and I didn't know the iBrands, Grand Sonic, Arby's, and Buffalo Wild Wings. Well, you know, you can't just go straight to Buffalo Wild Wings and bring them here. When your Sonic's doing really well, what you got to do is stair step. You got to get the Sonic doing good. Then you got to bring in the Arby's, which is their next chain. And then when that does good, then they bring in their things like that as well.
Can you differentiate you mentioned casual eating places, that those are becoming, people may want that, they're more popular. How do you compare that to what we already have?
So casual sit-down restaurants, example would be a Buffalo Wild Wings, kind of that next level type option. Is really what we see is the need here, kind of moving forward, and we've talked about as being those types as being a target for next year and moving forward.
Can you give us examples of the types of eating places?
So we talked about not Buffalo, but Wingstop that they have in Pleasanton. And so we've talked about IHOP that they have in Pleasanton. That is a casual sit-down place where you can go and get you a steak to a burger, and then a Chili's, which they've already have. But you know, and then some of your other leakages that we've talked about, and I'm only comparing to surrounding areas like Pleasanton, for example, like a Bush's Chicken, you know, that does really well there. And you know, we have Church's Chicken and the other places, but like those type of places. But as far as casual places, you know, it was unique. I mean, and as Roy and Charlotte, when we went to talk to Red Lobster, right? So we're like, well, let's just go talk to them. Like, oh, now they have a C-level grade store that fits our mold, and we have everything they need. We just have to get the right data to them.
So do we qualify for any of those that you mentioned?
Mm-hmm. We do.
Yes.
It's you know, you mentioned that, you know, for that certain retailer, you're on the 2021 list. It's getting on that next list and staying in front of them. Might be 4 or 5 years out. We were working in a community and closed a Chick-fil-A deal that we started working on 6 years previously. So it's, you know, depending on the retailer, the restaurant, they all kind of move at their own pace, some much quicker than others. So it's kind of just getting your name out there, staying on top of them, and you know, even if, and I'm sure at this show some said, you know, well, we're not a fit. Well, you know, 6 months down the road of not being a fit might change, and yeah, those things
when we were
can
there,
change quick.
3 of them were already a fit, and I don't want to put out in the public yet, because what happens is One time I put we talked about the coffee shop, and they were calling them, and I don't need to scare anybody off, but there's 3 of them that are fit right now that, one of them moved with their timeline, one we're on the timeline, and already talking with Aaron. I just need to get to that next step to represent us a little more, because, you know,
Well, some of them have to do with the construction schedule. They already got so many business online.
a lot of it is in our
We
areas.
have to come up to your place, but I cannot get that to 2.5 years from now because I gotta do this all at once.
Yeah, like for example, like right now, is getting the space to put them in, right? We'll talk to Mr. Shoemaker and linked him with through Aaron, we linked him with, Riata Real Estate. They had 2 developers already, so he needed 3 contracts, you know, to get his building moving forward. He's already at Word Soul Sample, so all he needs is his 3 contracts of his 5 buildings. Well, now it's like, he's with this one, now he's got maybe 5 contracts that they're talking about. Well, now he's talking, well, maybe I should tear those buildings down and design it for 7, because he can design it up to 7. So, we'll just,
And this show and this coming up in January, real quick, actually, is like, those are the type of people we want to sit down and meet with and just stay in front of them and say, hey, this is what's going on, and get an update for them and just.
and that's what we never had in the past. Like, we went and showed them, like, what does your town have to offer if we're gonna come there? Well, they wanna be involved in your community. We really didn't have anything before, but with, you know, what we've been able to do as a team, me and Charlotte, we're able to put together a national night out, you know, and so we can go and we can promote that. That's a big promotion key. Like, we bring the community, they wanna be a part of that. You saw when we were there, Walmart was giving out waters. They've never given out waters before. And then then we can show, look, we had 2,000 people. That's the largest turnout, probably 1,800, 2,000 people when they did crowd control, the police officers, their report that we've ever had in a lighting ceremony in downtown. And we haven't even scratched the surface on what we can do compared to, you know, what Lavernia and Pleasanton do when they're bringing in ice skating rings, or they're bringing in a snow slide, and we just have like bubble snow. But when we really get to that point, because y'all see the vision of bringing a community together, it's fun to be in those meetings and actually bring something to the table. Whereas in the past, there was nothing to give retail coach to say, hey, but now they can take this stuff and we put a good PowerPoint for our city together. You know, we're part of the film festival stuff, so just so as we move forward, we talked about the IC, SC. That's some things we're talking about, and Danny, we're talking about some different workshops that were coming up. So that's something that we have missed the last couple of years, so we're looking at maybe being a part of that as well.
Is that the one in January?
In January, Fort Worth.
Are y'all going?
We're looking at things, we're talking about that today. So, yeah, get on those and go.
Yeah, and that's one of our main focuses is, you know, hitting the recruitment, being aggressive, trade show representation, and these retailers, restaurants that are on the hook, that are looking, is, you know, stay aggressive on them.
But now we have storefronts to bring to them. Here's a future development of 5. We have a location where you come into, so you're not, hey, well, can you put together a pack? We have the packet. This is where you can go. This one has a drive-through. This one doesn't. This store can be turned into this, where someone's already leasing. So talk to some other developers that already have some things, and they're on month-to-month leases, but they have that retail thing. Say, look, we can turn this into 12 weeks, you know, and you can be up and running. So it's really neat. Just want to kind of talk about, I don't need to beat a dead horse sometimes, but we have had this in our budget moving forward. So we had it's earmarked already for the 3rd year of the contract. So it's not something we have to look into and make amendment. It's already there. So.
Kyle, have you ever visited our downtown?
I have. Last time I was here, I rode around with Ray, and kind of before that, I went to park downtown and kind of walked around a little bit. And what I kind of view downtowns as kind of the heart and soul of the community, and a lot of communities kind of moved away from their downtowns in the past 20, 30 years. But, you know, what y'all have is
very unique. Yeah.
Yes, a lot of communities all over the country would love to have the downtown.
And you see a lot of those companies, they'll come from Victoria, they won't go to those different retail trade shows and go talk to the mom and pops that are franchisees for tea and different chocolatier restaurants, and they're only for downtown. Like, they don't want to be on the highway. They want to be a specialty shop to where they do the marketing. So one thing we talked about was the footprint, right? So as we do these events and they can pull up these cell phone analysis and show that we have this many people downtown, or I can get with Zach Tax, I can tell you what Trail Riders brings in every month, or what Olivia's brings in every month, or the sales tax, a heart like mine, and now we have, Fluffs is doing really good with their karaoke, and Shirley with Home Marketplace. We can pull in these numbers and show this is what our downtown already has, and here's some future things we can do to help you as well, so.
And definitely with, on our end is if we can, one thing that we can do is do a downtown workshop where, we get all the downtown business owners together, and if it's in this room or somewhere else, and kind
We
of
could do that.
talk through that data and say, hey, these are factual numbers of who is coming here and how far they're traveling from. The gentleman that was here earlier was saying how far people travel to his boot shop. We can show factual data and by a heat map, and it's some cool things that we can add in to help the existing business owners outside of just focus on bringing business in. So.
Anything else, Ben?
No, I think Kyle held the points we kind of talked about with Aaron and him over.
Okay, so our job tonight is take action on the,
Just to make a motion action to move forward with year 3 of the contract. Like I said, it lapsed back in July.
okay, what is the dollar amount?
It's $10,000 for year 3. He didn't change any of the price on it. It's one thing that he was really wanting to do, and I told him, I said, you got to do 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years worth of work in a year. So we want to hit the ground running, and so if we can get that motion to move forward with year 3 of this contract.
Should we mention any emphasis in our motion that we want to look at?
I mean, just like he said, maybe the downtown, where we add that in there. We can add in a downtown workshop would be something really, really good. And then also the gap analysis that Fred was talking about on, of what has changed and what areas we have improved upon. So we want to be able to tell our community of what this benefit has brought to us.
And again, I'm not against doing this, obviously, it's a good thing, but I would like to see some experience as to what we've gained for having this contract in effect for this amount of time, and what goes into it to make it even better.
No, that's one thing that,
Because right now, we're just talking about, this is.
well, that's what I'm looking forward to, because in the past, I can't speak for what the directors have done in the past, but, I could tell you what me and Charlotte, I could speak on her behalf as well, if you don't mind, is that we see the benefit of when the few times we've gone to them, and of course, I had more phone conversations with the company as well, and I think we're a different breed of the type of business we're gonna deal with them, and our communication's a lot different as well, so.
Well, and again, qualify it by saying, I'm for doing this kind of thing, but I'd like to have some concrete terms that show us that what we did here and paid for gave us this much more that we wouldn't have, and how to proceed to get even better. That kind of report.
Yeah.
If you will, please.
Yeah, we'll work on
Okay?
putting something together for that.
I'll move that we accept the recommendation here. And for that, what amount, $10,000? This is
$10,000 for the third year,
Third
right?
year, third year?
With some of those objections that you mentioned?
Yes,
Yes.
objectives.
Caveats.
Caveats?
Yeah.
Caveats of the downtown,
I'll second that.
Yeah, and again, just an information, Kyle, that tells us what it is we're buying and what we're getting, okay?
Definitely.
Simple as that.
Definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the motion was by Mr. Gonzalez, the second was, I'm sorry,
Ray.
Ray? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries 7-0. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, thank you.
a little bit different time.
Be
Yeah,
safe.
better.
Take care, pal.
Sweet.
Y'all have a good one.
Okay.
Y'all have a good Christmas as well.
You too, sir.
Hi, Kyle.
All right, CNA approved the Lodi Park dedication plaque as presented, or get a second estimate. Mr. Ben?
Yes, so, I've never done the plaque before, so working with Kendra on this plaque, you can see some of the different things she's used on there, the different companies, but we talked about moving forward. We want to get approval to move forward with the plaque, first of all, and then from there, getting maybe a second or third estimate as well. So I'm just looking for a motion to move forward with putting the rededication, the park dedication, and it'll actually change from November to December. It should be almost ready to go by the end of this week. So
So
We're not gonna do anything till
January. So we might have to even go to January with the.
For the dedication.
Would you say it is presented or get a second estimate? What's your recommendation?
I think we should go out and get, just because we want to do good stewards of public funds, our sales tax dollars, I think we should always try to get about 3 estimates. So I just would like, much to move forward and then with the recommendations of getting the appropriate amount of estimates and go with it.
So if I may, at this point, I move to approve the Lodi Park dedication plaque, but get a second estimate before we finalize the acceptance.
okay, so do we just leave the final cost at the direction of,
That was, yeah.
is there a second to that?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Galvin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries 7-0. Okay, CNA to select a committee responsible for the mid-year evaluation of our executive director.
So if you can already believe, yesterday it's been 5 months, right?
What have you been doing?
I have no idea. I've been, I don't want to say that, I've been
Slacker.
slacking, I've been sleeping in the office now, just playing. Yeah, so just to stay true to what historically we've done in the past, want to get y'all's thoughts on it as a board on the evaluation process, because that's one thing that's in my contract, is that evaluated mid-year and end of the year. So we're at that time already.
Does it have that in there, Ben? I thought we said at least once a year.
No, it's every,
It
yeah.
requires a mid-year also? I don't remember,
Yeah.
frankly.
Yeah, due to some of the
It
issues.
does say that?
Yeah, due to the issue with the previous things, that's one thing y'all put in as a safety net for this job moving forward, is that you could.
Anybody wants to volunteer?
Yeah, we need volunteers to give me all zeros.
Or take that to take it to-
Yeah.
We'll ask the attorney, can we meet as a
Oh, as a
board?
group, as a board?
When?
To evaluate them, or does that have to be a separate committee?
No, are we gonna have it on the agenda?
Yeah, we can. I mean, it's a committee to respond, just how y'all want the committee to look. That's what, I left it kind of open, select the committee. If y'all want to do a committee by board, we can do that. I'm okay with it.
I think we did that last year, remember, on selection for the job?
Yes.
And I think it works better that way. It's a lot of, delay really when you get to have a committee that has to close their meetings
Yeah.
and da-da-da-da.
Yeah, we can come and then, what I can do is,
Okay. Okay, well, why don't we have a motion that the entire board is the selection or the evaluation committee?
and if you can.
Would that work?
Yes,
Recommendation to work with Sylvia to set the, how that looks like.
a standard?
Yeah,
Okay,
standard for
we
that.
can do that. Everybody
Does that
okay
work?
with that? Because if we're gonna be discussing city business or discussing FDC business, we wanna make sure nobody's gonna have anything
I agree.
else.
Okay.
You need a motion?
Please.
I move that we, as the board, act as a committee at whole, in whole, to do the mid-year evaluation for our executive director, Ben Lee.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Brewer, for the entire board to be the evaluation committee. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Item 4, executive session. Do I have to read all of that? The Floresville EDC may at any time during the meeting close the meeting and hold an executive session pursuant to Texas Open Meetings Act codified in Chapter 551, the Texas Government Code, which permits closed meetings pursuant to Section 551.071 for the purpose of consulting with its attorneys. deliberating about real property, deliberating about gifts, donations, deliberating about personnel matters, deliberating about security devices regarding exclusion of witness in connection with investigation, deliberating, voting, and taking action as a power or utility on a competitive matter, deliberating about economic development negotiations, deliberating about test items to discuss and deliberate any of the posted matters to be considered during the open meeting. If it does go into executive session, the Floresville EDC may deliberate into executive session, vote on the matter in open session, and announce it for the minutes.
Continue, sir, we're almost
We
done.
gotta do A.
Oh, okay.
Hey, we're almost there, sir.
So item A will be to meet in executive session pursuant to section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code, personnel matters to deliberate the employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public employee, discuss personnel evaluation of Assistant Charlie P. Mansell. So we'll need a motion to go into closed session.
So move.
Okay, motion by Mr. Gonzalez. Second by Mr. Lambert. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And during our closed session, I'm gonna ask the board to remain, our executive director, or attorney. Now, I'll ask the employee to step out for a few minutes. If that's okay.
Yeah, take it off. 6:59.
Of course.